Welcome, everyone. It's the Kornelia Stephanie Show with my beautiful co-host, Dawnette Palmore. Welcome to the show, Dawnette.
Thank you so much. It's great to be back, and it's great to have you back. We missed you last month.
Oh, thank you. It's wonderful. You did such a great job. It was like, God, she doesn't need me anymore. She can just do the show by herself. You guys rocked it last month. And of course, I love that topic you had. Debt is a thief. That was like very inspiring, and you've brought on your children over the last episodes, and you're really educating us, for those of you that are just tuning in and hearing this show today for the first time. Dawnette is a financial wellness coach, and she's here to help us change our relationship with money and educate us. And in today's podcast, we're talking about teens and money. And of course, Dawnette brought an entourage of people. So she'll be introducing those people to us in just a little bit. But first, here's some of the notes that she prepared for today's podcast. One of the best things that we can do for our children is to get them ready for adulthood, to teach them about money. Not just that they earn money and spend it, but what about having a healthy relationship with money? What about the pros and the cons of their choices? What about opportunity costs, investing, getting a pet, and the list goes on? These are often overlooked areas, but especially important topics to discuss. Today, we're going to be talking about a program for teens. And I think not just for teens, because there's a lot of people, adults too, that could use this program, that uses a video game to teach us about how money works, how they work with money in this video game, how to make smart money choices, and everything in between, getting a good job, to paying your taxes, to investing, to retiring. This course makes it fun to learn about money. They get to apply their knowledge to a real life scenario and see the consequences right away. So, Dawnette, we're going to be talking about money and, having this conversation with your teens. And you've certainly done this with your teens. You're living proof of what we're talking about, because you had your 3 children on, and each and every one of them has gone through your program, everything that you're talking about.
Yep,
Is there
absolutely.
a way that teens still will really enjoy learning about money?
Yes, and I want to introduce my 2 guests, because one of them actually developed the Money Smart Academy that goes with the Money Mavericks game. And Lauren Reeling and Michelle Boss, which you guys listeners probably are familiar with Michelle, are both fellow financial coaches. So welcome to the show, you guys. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited to have you. These ladies are amazing, and I love them very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for having us. It's just a joy, Kornelia and Dawnette.
Thank you for having me too. So fun to be here.
Yeah, so introduce yourself a little bit. We'll get into this game because Lauren is the developer of the program, and then it has a game. But just tell us about where you are, what your like your avatar is, who your ideal market is.
Would you like
Who do you want to start? Go ahead, Michelle.
I'm Michelle Boss. I am a personal finance coach and educator here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and my business name is The Money Boss. Fun play on my last name. I typically work with women entrepreneurs to focus both on their personal and business finances, and focus on those habits and behaviors, organizing finances, and creating that peace within. So I originally started out a few years ago teaching teens in community classes, in-person classes, and with the recent COVID pandemic, pivoted to teaching teens online. So I'm looking forward to sharing about that today.
Welcome, Michelle. It's nice to have you back. Thank you for being here.
And I'm Lauren, of course, and I coach Christian leaders who really want to make an impact with their money, not just sort of get out of debt, but who really want to be purposeful with their finances and apply their finances to their most deeply held values, and to leave a strong legacy, a legacy that's more than just about them. And so for me, it's not about the money as much as it is what you want to do with the money. And so that's where I'm excited to help coach people. And the way that I got into coaching teens was I had a client who asked me to. He said, I want you to coach my teenagers. And I had never even thought like to coach teens before, but he asked me to. And so I put something together, and that's how Money Smart Academy was born.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And so, Cornelia, your question was, is there a way, and maybe even a fun way, to teach teens about money? And the answer is absolutely yes. And it's also necessary. There is such a disconnect with teens and money that carries over into their adulthood, which the three of us see when we're coaching people, and the damage that is done to them in relating with money, and having that bad relationship with money and not really using it as a tool. So I think sometimes parents just kind of throw their kids out there thinking they're going to figure it out. And they're too embarrassed because of the mistakes that they've made. And I think the three of us really want to take that away, that there's no reason to be embarrassed because we all make mistakes. I mean, if it wasn't for our money mistakes, would we be coaches? Probably not. But we have went through a pain and got through it, and we're able to share that with other people. So the embarrassment has to go away, because we all make mistakes, just like we've talked before again and again. It's okay to make mistakes. So we have to get past that embarrassment so that we can help future generations, and really just open up this subject of money. And I think it's a huge disservice for parents to also pay for everything for their kids, and not slowly show them how to make commissions or allowance, people like to call it, and how to use that, and give them a little financial responsibility through their life, so that when they go out and they have to pay for all these things, they know how to do it, and they can understand the cost of things. I think that's also a disconnect, is how much things are costing. Starbucks is always full. People are spending $5 to $8 on a cup of coffee. It's crazy. So, do you ladies feel the same with the coaching of the teens that you have had experience with?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think that we give our teens enough credit for what they're capable of. I think that's a huge problem. They're so capable. And if we just give them the tools that they need and opportunities to both succeed and fail with money, give them smaller opportunities now so that so they don't have to experience bigger failure when they're adults. Let them experience that failure. They're going to be okay if you give them those opportunities now. If they get that now, they're going to be successful as adults. And that's really what we want. We're not trying to just protect our kids at all costs. We want them to grow now so that they'll be successful as adults. And that's just as true with money as it is in any other area of their lives.
That's a great.
This is a topic I'm very passionate about. I think it's a shame that we do not teach personal finance in school for the most part. You know, there's so many other topics that sometimes aren't so relevant to our careers, or getting through the school system, without ever focusing on those money management skills to reach our dreams. What do we do with the money once we start working and get a career? That is really the driving passion that inspired me to teach teens, and starting at a very young age, but especially young adults, when they're placed in positions to make really important financial decisions that could affect the rest of their lives. I've had a family member that just finished paying off his college debt in his late 40s. And anytime we can provide that information and help educate and Just give kids the tools to make well-informed decisions as early on as possible. It's
I love that. Well-informed decisions. That's a great way to put it. And even Lauren saying they can make mistakes and fail in the safety of the home before they get out there and they fall and they don't say anything because they're embarrassed and they don't know what to do. And sometimes they just think it's the way of life. We'll just have 10, 20 credit cards. We'll have student loan till we die and do whatever we want. And it's really, really a sad reality. And we can give our kids so much more. And I love your saying, Cornelia, going from consumer to creator. I think that's really what we need to teach our kids. Also, how can they create an income, right?
Yes.
They have an entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, that's really cool. And actually, the two people that we're bringing on, the two students that we're bringing on later are both entrepreneurs. So it's really, really cool to see them follow their passion and be happy in life, because I think that's important as well.
I want to say, Dawnette, you're the perfect role model because you've taken all of your kids through that pain that you talked about, the embarrassment of what wasn't working in your life anymore and what you wanted to change. And then even though your children were teens at the time, they had to learn a new way. All of a sudden, they had to, because you started handing out envelopes and making them save and, asking them to buy their own drinks or dinners, whatever. I can't remember exactly what you did. And then you also, gave them school money to, when it was back to school clothes, you gave them a certain amount and then they got to pick their clothing out and started making those choices. So like you said, Lauren, is we don't give the kids enough credit because they're so smart. They're so smart and the stakes are so high because these are our future leaders of this world. And so it's absolutely, absolutely our responsibility to teach these young people to help them not make the mistakes that we've made or that we didn't have and go through the same things that we've gone through when we have the tools available to us now. And that's why I'm asking everyone that's listening to this show today, all the people that liked the graphics when we were doing the social media promotion, please take this and share this with your family and share this with your friends so that we can make the change and sign up for the programs and the things that are being offered to take it into your household and sit down with your family and do it as a family together. I think, this is the way. Right now is the perfect time. It gives me the chills just saying it because it's true. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. We've all done the best we could, and if we can come from that place, and let's learn together. Let's empower each other.
Absolutely. We do what we know till we know something better. I love that. And I love talking about it. So one of the great things about this program is that it does come with a parent guide to help you open conversation. And Lauren has intentionally written things in there that says, go talk to your parents about this. Go talk to your parents about that. Just the intentionality of it is phenomenal. And so Lauren, I want to ask, why did you create the course around the game Money Mavericks?
Sure. So I learned about Money Mavericks and I thought this is really excellent. I used to be a high school teacher, and part of my training was to learn about different ways that students learn. And what I learned from that is that the more ways of learning you incorporate into what you're trying to teach, the more that your students are going to internalize what they're learning. So it's not going to be in one ear, out the other. If they can learn through experience, that's way more powerful than if you just tell them what they need to know. Let them have those experiences. And in this case, it's a game, it's fun, it's engaging. There's like silly jokes in it. It's very lighthearted. And it's just fun to do, and it's not too serious, but at the same time, they're experiencing the very real consequences of making every single big decision and small decision that an adult is going to make in their lifetime. They get to see the cumulative effect of that as they go through the game. And so then you bring that experiential learning back into these group coaching sessions. And as the coaches, we're able to draw out inferences and financial philosophy and financial mindsets and principles that are really important for them to know. And so they're making these bigger connections. And when they make those bigger connections, that's when the information gets internalized and it becomes a part of the way that they see themselves and their world and money. And when they're equipped with that, that's what you want for them when they go out into the real world, because that gives them the ability to make good decisions, to make good judgments, and to be in control of the money that they have.
Yeah. And what I think is really cool that this game has incorporated is that happiness meter. So at the beginning, when you're creating your avatar, you also tell the game what's important to you, whether it's giving, family, friends, entertainment, and the game will adjust that meter based on your financial decisions throughout the game. So it's really cool to also see them, show them how that affects them as a person so that they can have that healthy relationship and know like what is truly important to them and what isn't, and recognize that early. And recognize that it affects the way that they feel.
Absolutely. And I would just add to that, so much of the time, financial education is taught in a vacuum. It's all about the numbers. It's all about building wealth for its own sake, but none of us actually operate like that. Spending money, saving money, there's always an emotional component to it, whether we're conscious of it or not. And so when you get kids to be aware of what their values actually are, and you get them to think intentionally about it, well, now they're being intentional with their money and they're thinking, what is really important to me? Do I value being generous? It's a nice idea, but is that how I'm actually choosing to use my money? So in a sense, it sort of tests you, like, are you actually putting your money where your mouth is, right? and it gives you an opportunity then to adjust.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's important. They get to feel that and really find out what it is that they value in life. And I think that's also a missing component in everybody's life. People have really gone away from that, trying to do this facade of keeping up with the Joneses, or defining the value of money to them and their life based on what other people say and not what it really means for them. And then we end up with a lot of unhappy people who are in a lot of debt. And also, this game is absolutely unbiased. It does not say you should do this and you shouldn't do that. It gives you the education on the choice, and the teen makes that choice and sees what the consequences are, whether they're good or bad, because consequences can be good too.
How do you participate in the game? I mean, is there an app? Is there?
So you download the game onto your desktop and you create an avatar and you go through the scenarios. It starts at age 15 and a half, where you're usually applying for a job. So it talks about that. What does that mean? This job's flexible. This job isn't. This job requires labor. This job, you're just going to kind of sit around, so that you can fit and pick a job that's going to be good for your personality. All the way up to empty nester and retirement and everything in between. I mean, they thought of everything.
Wow.
Taxes. What are taxes? I have had teens ask, why are they taking money out of my check? They don't know why there's money missing, or even what that's used for. So even understanding what those taxes are used for. When it comes to investing, even how to pick an advisor. What kind of questions do you ask an advisor? And the game walks you through that. It's very, very interactive and very educational.
That's fun. So how does one go about it? Like, how do you get it?
Well, you can go to my website, www.proverbsfinancialcoaching.com. And I am launching another class, another Money Smart Academy, August 24th. And up until August 7th, if you type in the coupon code podcast, you'll get $100 off. It's a 6-week program. It goes by so fast, but it is so much fun. And you are literally learning everything about money and life in about 18 hours.
Wow. Yeah.
It's pretty quick because you have an hour of coaching and then about an hour to an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, depending on how long it takes you to listen through the game or read it, on time on yourself playing the game.
What a great investment.
Absolutely. It is. For what you get, it takes a whole lifetime to learn.
Well, all three of us, Lauren and Dawnette and I, are affiliates of Money Mavericks. And what I love the most about the game, whether you use it standalone or with a course with a coach, which just enhances the discussion, is that it provides those simulations and the experiences. I think the experience for the teens is the best gift that we can give. I've literally had a teenager who got their first paycheck and did not know what to do with it. And so to, be able to walk through those different scenarios and get experiences in a place where it's safe to learn and fail and learn from your mistakes, is invaluable. So you hit the nail on the head, Kornelia. It is the best value and investment, a parent can make, especially if they don't feel comfortable talking about money, or even sharing their money mistakes, or maybe they don't even know what they should be teaching. The Money Maverick software definitely encourages, like Dawnette touched on, parent interaction. So there's a parent guide that comes along with the software to help facilitate that conversation or discussion as well.
That seems to take so much pressure off. It seems to take so much pressure off the parent. I'm just thinking, like the parents are overwhelmed, the parents are overwhelmed out there with everything that's going on. And, and this seems to take such pressure off that you can really, give a good foundation, a good money foundation. Michelle, you've interviewed me before, a year ago, and we talked about, the conditioning from my past. How I was raised and how I grew up. I was raised in poverty. I didn't have any money education, no money, no teaching about, no relationship with money, and, learned a lot of bad things, So had to learn the hard way. And, I can just imagine right now for a lot of parents out there right now, this is something that you can definitely invest in and give your children a really solid foundation for when they go out in the world, that they have what it is that they need and they're able to make those decisions. Because like you said, Dawnette, is they're learning how to make it already through the game, which
and
is
in a fun way, because I don't think we've mentioned yet, the software was written by a comedian in partnership with a financial coach. So it does, it's a fun way for the teens to learn.
Yeah, it is. And I know we're heading up on a break, but Michelle, I wanted you to talk a little bit about, I know you have a different program that you also teach teens. So you want to talk a little bit about that? We'd love to hear it.
Absolutely. Again, providing experiences, and all kids learn differently, right? The more ways that we can incorporate learning techniques, the better. But the course I did, once the COVID pandemic hit, was online, 6 weeks, similar to your course. I think it's a perfect amount of time to really dig into topics and discussion. It was all online via Zoom in 2-hour sessions. So it really was discussion based. We asked a lot of questions and went through the basics. So banking basics, budgeting, and credit management, wrapping up with an introduction, just a little bit of investing. So it was really enlightening for me. We had kids from 14 to 23. I actually had a graduate student in that class, and they all learned so much. And just being able to, do the activities, share stories with each other. It was a really fun way to learn, and I think supportive and conducive for the teens, hearing their different perspectives and stories and experiences.
Yeah, wow. That's awesome. Did you incorporate the Money Mavericks game at all?
Not in this course. I'm
Okay.
certified through the National Financial Educators Council, so that's the curriculum I used for my course. But I will add that I've had several parents who have inquired into options, if they missed the original registration. And the feedback I get from those parents using Money Mavericks is that it's very helpful for their teens, for kids that like to learn that way.
That's fantastic. I love that. Wow. That's so cool. I know that we're headed for a break, right? And
Yep.
then when we come back, I want to introduce Witten and Ashlyn. They're actually two of the kids who took the Money Smart Academy, and we want to hear a little bit about their experience, what they learned, how it's changed their life, and all kinds of good questions when we come back.
We're back, everyone. Welcome back.
Sorry.
Here we go. So Dawnette, you're gonna introduce us to some of your students, right?
Yes, I am. We have Witten and Ashlyn. They both just finished the course about a week ago, the Money Smart Academy course. They are two amazing young adults who just, they're brilliant. They have this entrepreneurial spirit, and they were so fun to have in the class. We had a blast. I know I did. Did you guys have a blast?
Yes.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, if you're going to school, what you're going to school for, if you have jobs, projects, anything like that you want us to know. Ashlyn?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I'm Ashlyn. I'm currently attending LCAD and I'm getting a BFA in game art. And I'm working project-wise. I'm making a remaster of Kirby Air Ride. So I've been working.
Awesome.
I'm Wynn Magnus. I'm from Red Lake Middle School going into Pleasant Grove High School. And I do YouTube, and that's about it.
You have other little projects that you go off and on.
Oh yeah, every now and then, for sure.
So tell us what you guys knew about money before the class, or what you didn't know.
Virtually nothing. I knew basic taxes. I knew that they'd take my money. And then basic, like whenever you're a senior, you take econ in high school. So took that, but it was kind of more just like basic saving and how to pay off a debt. That's it. There was not much to it.
Okay. What about you?
I knew about savings and debt because my mom taught me a little bit about it, but that's it. And it was all basic. I didn't know a lot, like deep into it. So
Okay. That's awesome. Witten's mom is really awesome and she's debt free. Okay, so what did you think about before you took the class? Before taking it. So did your parents say, you're taking this class? Witten's mom gave it to him as a graduation gift. And I'm not sure, Ashlyn, how your parents presented that to you, but when they said that to you, what were you thinking?
Well, I had my cousin call me on the phone and he's like, I have this class. He said that he wished he'd have done it at my age. So I was actually really interested because I had no idea how money worked and I've been wanting to know. So I was excited and a bit nervous too, though, because like I knew it was going to be a lot of information.
Yeah. Okay, good. What about you, Witten?
my mom gave it to me as a graduation present, as she said. I didn't really know what to expect, but it worked out well. So
I
So
want
what did you think? So
say, yeah, I want to ask, do you both of you, Ashlyn and Witten, do you guys feel empowered now? Do you
Yeah.
feel like you know something that you
yeah,
didn't?
I feel way better about money.
Do you?
Yeah, same here. And like I tell my family about what I be learning, and I know stuff that they didn't even know. So it was really interesting to see that and talk to my friends about what I learned.
That's so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So Witten, what were you thinking? So I know that your mom kind of popped it on you and she recorded it. So everyone's watching. But what were you thinking when she was doing that?
I had no clue. I was kind of confused. I thought it was like a course with a video game on how to like get better at video games. I had no clue it was financial at all. Like I had no clue. So I was just confused.
That's so funny. What's really cool about these two is they both love gaming. So I thought that was really cool that they both ended up in the class together. Something in common that they could talk about.
Yeah.
So what are your guys' thoughts going through this class?
Well, through the class, like I kept enjoying it more and more each week. I loved doing the at-home work. It was not like enough where I was overwhelmed at all. It's only like an hour or two, and I played a game, and I enjoy it too. I go through it slow. So all about it, I was really happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun for me as well. I went through it. It took me about hour 30 almost every time. Read through all the little things at the bottom, and I enjoyed it. It took a little bit of time, but it was worth it.
Good, good. So you guys enjoyed playing the game, the cartoon, and the humor that they added in.
Yes.
Okay. And so what did you guys learn?
A lot.
What are some things you can remember that you learned?
I learned about the dollar for dollar spending plan, I believe it was called, where every dollar has a purpose.
The zero-based budget?
Yes.
Awesome.
I put a few things. So like how to avoid interest in debts, how to properly save and like save for retirement properly, so I'm not 40 and just starting my retirement plan. And like there's multiple things that you can take away from the class. So it was really good.
Good. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Has the class changed the way that you think about money?
Yes.
Yeah.
How so?
The zero-based budget thing, that's one of the biggest takeaways personally, because I had a job beforehand, well, before Corona, and I was losing so much money without even realizing it. It was going towards things that, I'd go out with my friends to eat, and I realized I'd spend more than what I originally wanted to. And with that budget, you're able to put this much towards college, this much towards entertainment, things like that.
So it kind of helped you see where your money was going, but also plan and say, hey, I don't like that. I'd rather be doing this.
Exactly.
Awesome. I love that budget too. And you saying, I didn't really know that I was spending that much money, or I didn't intend to. And I was actually on a consultation yesterday with a lady, and we were going through what she spends, where she spends her money. And I was like, well, you should have about $1,100 left. And she goes, I don't know where it's going because I don't have that.
Wow.
It happens. And that's what happens. People don't know where their money's going. How has the class, do you think, this information made an impact on your future?
Well, everything, honestly. Like, I actually know how to properly save money, and with hopes of retiring early, having good investments and being smart with my money. So it's not going to be going towards interest rates like, for example, with the car in the game. If you bought one of the smaller cars and eventually your car would gain like good interest, and then you could sell it while you saved up, so you don't have to pay more money than what you ever needed to in the first place.
What about you, Winton?
I think it has made an impact on my future by letting me know at such a young age about how to deal with money and save and spend and like balance all my money out so that I just don't spend it all on one thing and don't have enough for the bills. So
that's awesome. And
you know what?
Winton is only 14.
It's just incredible listening to you guys. You guys are smart money kids. Smart money kids. That's what you guys are. And very inspiring. When Dawnette had her children on, one of the questions I asked them was, how do they feel different from their friends? And, now that you guys did this game and you became empowered and all the things that you learned, how do you feel different from your friends, that you know this and they don't?
I feel like I have an advantage, honestly, like in not a mean way, but in the fact that I'd be able to help them out too, because I understand how I could pay off my debts earlier. And it's kind of like if you think you're ahead of the race kind of thing, just like to the general public of teenagers, because most teenagers are not educated on this kind of thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What about you, Witten?
I feel like I have a, not like she said, not in a mean way, but an edge over my friends and people around me and money, because like most of my friends, they go spend all their money, but I like save my. Even before the class, Dawnette knows I save my money. I don't spend it very much, so.
Yeah, Witten's about almost saved up for his car, and he's only 14, so that's that's really cool. And I think parents, if you're listening, listen to what these teenagers are saying. Their peers do not have what they need to make it financially. And it's so important. And this program does that for them. It opens their eyes, it helps them to see. And I get it. Sometimes we have a hard time explaining how things work, or we just don't know how to do it. And I'm always a big fan of getting educated, finding out how to do it. Does somebody else know something I don't that my kids can learn from? I talked about during the break that I was a homeschooling mom, and if somebody knew something I didn't, I gladly paid them to teach my kids that, because it was valuable. And our kids are precious and they're valuable and they are the future. We got to make sure that we are giving them what they need to make it in this world, to truly be a creator and not a consumer.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? So one more question to you guys, Ashlyn and Witten, is what do you want to say to the parents that are listening to the show? Because, you know, I trust you guys. You guys are awesome. It makes me feel good. I could start crying to know that you guys are doing what you're doing, and you're going to be, you know, out there in the world as leaders, you know, growing up and making the world a better place. So what do you want to say to the parents that are listening to this program that haven't decided whether to, you know, get this game for their children? What do you want to say to them?
I highly recommend it. I would do it for sure, because, like, why not? I don't understand why you wouldn't, because you're learning about money. It's a game and it goes by quick, and you have a lot of knowledge. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, it's one of the best gifts, honestly, you can give your kid is this thing of knowledge, because most parents don't even know some of the facts themselves. And you can learn with your kid, and it's just honestly overall a really good experience. And it's just one of the best investments you can do for your child.
That's awesome. You guys, thank you so much. I appreciate all those words. And Michelle and Laura, do you guys have any questions you want to ask Witten and Ashlyn?
I would just ask you guys, because there's some teenagers, you know, that don't want to listen to their parents, or they don't want to learn about money. What would you say to those families or those parents who have that, you know, type of situation where maybe their teenagers are resistant to learning about money?
Well, I will say most of those teenagers will outgrow that kind of like rebellious thing whenever they realize I'm going into the real world. I need to go to college. I'm going to need to have my own apartment, that kind of thing. So you can tell them also it's a game. So if your child is kind of like that, it's a really fun game. You know, it keeps them invested. And I think just honestly getting it for them and expecting them, making sure they get to the class on time, and then they'll slowly start doing it themselves.
Yeah, I completely agree with what she said. Because at first, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of resilient at first, because I didn't really know what it was at all. I really didn't have a choice. She just kind of threw me in it. But after a while, I got used to it, and it was a game. And then every Monday at like 7 o'clock, I think is what it was. I had a fun time. So
That's awesome. So what would you guys say to people your age about what you've learned and about maybe pursuing knowledge themselves?
Well, same thing, like just the ability to educate yourself. There's these classes out here, and even just the class experience itself is really fun. Meeting up every week, talking and talking about your experiences. Because also, the class doesn't just talk about financial health; it talks about mental health and how you're able to set goals. So, for any of my friends, I'd recommend it to them.
Awesome.
yeah, I would recommend it to them as well. Because a lot of my friends, they go out and spend a lot of money, and they don't really. I know they don't budget it because I've seen how they splurge on stuff, and I'd recommend them taking the class. So because it's fun, and all of them are gamers as well, so I think they'd enjoy it a lot.
So what was their response when you recommended it to them, or have you?
I haven't yet, but I will.
Okay.
I've talked to my friends about it, and all of them are actually kind of interested. It's like that where it's just like I'll tell them a little tip every now and then, and they'll listen. Just spreading knowledge. They're not like weirded out by it at all.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good idea, is to talk to your friends, and then the friends say, "Hey, Mom, I want to take this program. I want to take this program. I heard about this. I want to educate myself because I really want to learn about this because I want to go out, and when I go out into the world, I want to do this." So right away, you're going to your parents and you're asking for education rather than some kind of, something, a toy or something or whatever, that you're asking your parents for that. And how can they refuse that? I have one other question for Witten. So what grade are you in?
I'm in 8th grade going into 9th this coming year.
And how many people are in your class?
We're a very small school, so like 20.
So you're probably the only person in your class
Yeah.
that is buying, that can buy a car at the age of 14. Probably the only person.
Yep.
So this is why I want to tell you. You're the what is it? The 2% out of the, what is that, ladies? What is that percentage? It's the 2% out of the 98% of people that will actually, be successful and do things. What is that percentage? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the name of it.
Yeah.
What it would be called.
Yeah, but you're probably one of those ones that you're geared for success no matter what, because you've already got this foundation and you're already doing it. And this is what we all should have been doing at your age. So, I'm so proud of you, and you too, Ashlyn. I love your energy, and I love how what you're talking about to your friends, and just how beautiful you're sharing. So thank you so much for what you said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think it's also something she said about, they're talking to each other about money.
Mm-hmm.
Because parents are opening the conversation, they're talking to each other about it. And if they don't know anything about it, what are they saying? What's going on? We need to get these kids education. We need to get them with the tools and the knowledge so that they could be so successful in this life. And you guys are hearing from Witten and Ashlyn how much it's impacted their life. You've heard from Lauren and Michelle and the way it's impacted their students as well. It is an incredible program, you guys. I am super excited about this program. And I was super excited to meet with you guys every week. It was so much fun. And like Ashlyn said, it's not just about money. It's about goals, right? We did some goal setting. We did our why. We learned what was valuable to us and what was it and how that affected us in the game.
Well, thank you for teaching us. It was a really fun experience.
Oh,
Yes,
it was my pleasure. You guys are the sweetest, and I'm gonna miss you. I did miss you Monday night.
Oh, I'm like, where's my financial lessons? I can't do it.
So Lauren, did you have any questions you wanted to ask Ashlyn and Witten?
Yeah, I did actually. one of, I think, the common misconceptions is that financial knowledge really is not relevant to teens until they become adults. So, can you help dispel that a little bit? Whitney, obviously, you're already saving for a car, which is awesome. How else? How else has this information been relevant to you right now that you've been able to apply right now in your lives where you're at?
It's extremely relevant. I mean, obviously, Quentin, he's buying the car, and teens have to start early for investments if they really want to retire early. I mean, I asked my dad, do I have a compound interest savings account ready or not? And I mean, there's just, it's so much better to start early. Start thinking about college, start thinking about apartments. Depending on where you live, it can be really expensive, you know? It's always, earlier is better.
I completely agree with that, because if I didn't start saving, because I started saving for my car, I think 9 or 10, and if I didn't start saving as early as I would not, I know I wouldn't be able to afford a car. So it's good that I started early. It's always good to start early.
But you want to afford your dream car, right?
Yes.
He's just going right for the goods.
Yeah.
Something that was really cool going through the game with you guys was you guys almost picked the same thing. So when it was time to pick an apartment, you had low, medium, and expensive, right? And they always went for the medium. And I think at one point, one of you did end up buying a penthouse, right?
Yes.
So it was really cool to be able to get those experience. Like, okay, well, if I bought a penthouse, what does that look like? How much is that going to cost me? What do I have to give up in order to have that? I think that was a really cool way to experience that and kind of see that, the impact that it has.
Yeah, I realized it was kind of like in the beginning game, it was like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, where the middle choice is always the best one because it has to be that's really run down or something that's way out of budget and that you just build so much interest on. But by the end of the game, whenever you've made all this money from saving early, I was able to buy all the expensive items without paying any interest. So by saving early, you're able to get those items without paying money that you shouldn't have had to pay in the first place.
Are you guys hearing the wisdom that is flowing out of her mouth?
I know.
I am like blown away. You guys, this is what the game has done. This is what the game has done. 6 weeks of a financial education video game and coaching. This is what you get. It's amazing. And she asked her dad about compound interest. Does my savings have compound interest? I need to know.
Yeah,
we build that money.
I don't need a credit score to buy a house. I can say, what did they do before that? And my family had no idea about it. And before this class, I had no idea how any of this money stuff worked. It really works.
Same here.
What were you saying, Winton?
I said same here.
You guys are just blowing my mind right now.
Mine too. Mine too. It's very inspiring. I feel so inspired by you guys, and it just makes me feel good that you're doing it. And I just want more people to do it too. Really, that's the call to action, is to, the kids to ask for it and the parents to, get it for their kids, and empower them just the way that these two are. So we have just 2 minutes, Dawnette. We want to close it out and thank our guests today.
Absolutely, you guys. Thank you all so very, very much for coming and taking the time out of your day and giving knowledge to the people that are listening, for Winton and Ashlyn for coming to share your experience. Just let everybody know that they need to do this. This is important. So one thing I love to do when we're closing is, what is one thing you want to give the people that are listening? What is a piece of advice?
Save early.
I was probably going to say that too. Save early. No interest.
What about you, Michelle?
Oh, there's so much. I'm trying to think of just one. But I would say get started. Don't delay. Just do it.
Perfect.
And I would say, sort of to tag on to what Michelle is saying, if you feel any sort of hesitation or fear around money, use that as an indicator to take action instead of sort of shrinking back from that. And, you know, Witten and Ashlyn, it's just so amazing to hear what rock stars you guys are. And I just think it speaks to what you guys are so capable of. So don't underestimate what your kids are capable of when you equip them. So yeah, just go for it and see what happens.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening and tuning in. All of you are great. Thanks so much. Thanks to the audience, too. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Dawnette.
Yeah, thank you.